to toot my own horn, and I know that I'm setting myself up for probably disappointment later tonight, but I hope you were with us last week on the Final Five, because we almost swept the board. We had 2 out of 3 on the power play points with Reinhart and Matthews. We hit the goal scorer line A. We hit the side with Washington. We hit the total with the over in Toronto and Buffalo. So we had a really good Final Five last week, and I'm hoping that we can now ride that wave.
Only on SportsGrid.
50 points in a fourth quarter for the Atlanta Hawks. Like, what is going on? It's like circus numbers. What are we doing?
And we sound like 2 old heads complaining. It's a tough watch. It's a tough watch sometimes. I don't mind the shooting. I just know the numbers. Like, when you strictly look at it from the numbers in betting, it's getting really hard to bet.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Louis Riddick has interviewed for every job in North America. And I'm not just talking football. I'm talking about every business in North America of any kind whatsoever. Tire companies, grocery store CEOs, shopping malls, insurance companies. What job hasn't Louis Riddick interviewed for?
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The NBA will take center stage once football stops, and people will watch the NBA playoffs and all that. But the standings are whacked out in the Western Conference. Like, Oklahoma City, Memphis, and the Houston Rockets are the best teams in the conference.
You want to talk about a team with overs and no defense? The Wizards are your team. It's unbelievable. They can't make a total high enough. It's nuts.
Sports Rage tonight. Weeknights 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome in. It is Game Time Decisions. We are live on SportsGrid with you on this Monday night. I'm Kevin Walsh, and we have 2 hours to set it up and knock it down. A full basketball board, NBA, and a few college games as well. 1 ranked spot tonight with the Houston Cougars going. Let's not waste some time, and I'll give you a little bit of action. I'm going to go against your ranked Cougars, and I'll take TCU in a Big 12 battle, catching 18.5 points. If you look, this number to me, a little inflated due to the nature that Houston was able to roll BYU in their first home game in conference play. BYU, better than TCU, not by this much. You saw those Cougars only catch about 10.5. I think the Horned Frogs here, who are a pretty good defense and a much slower basketball team, it's always tough to score against Houston. So for TCU, it's nothing new. I think they can stay inside this number here, though, tonight on the road in Big 12 play. We'll get to the NBA board, a few really interesting spots. And I think your game of the night between Sacramento and Miami, 2 teams in turmoil, who one maybe looking to turn the corner, the other looking to press the eject button on their superstar, that, of course, being Jimmy Butler. But we also have your NFL playoff bracket set. It is finalized 1 through 7 in the AFC and the NFC. And tonight we will get our first look at a lot of these lines and options here. You see how it sits right now in the AFC. A reminder if you need it, because it does seem that every year everyone needs it, so that's fine. Lowest seed is who? Kansas City and Detroit will be going up against. We reseed in the NFL playoffs. Let's take a look, game by game, the initial thought process and what just jumps off the page. The postseason will begin in Houston with a home dog. The Texans check into this game, catching 2.5 from the LA Chargers. We have 14 teams in the playoffs. At this moment, it feels as if, to me, the Houston Texans are being priced as the worst team in the NFL playoffs. The Chargers being road favorites is not insignificant. Projected look-ahead lines saw the Steelers pick 'em, if not shaded favorite in this building. That is what the Chargers were able to get themselves with their win yesterday against Vegas. The chance to be favored in a football game in the opening round despite going on the road. And if I'm correct that the books are seeing them play what is the worst team in the National Football League's postseason picture, I would also argue that the team they avoided is by sports books right now being viewed as the best team. That's the Baltimore Ravens, a 9.5-point favorite presently against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think Baltimore's the best team in football. I think Baltimore's ceiling is incredible. I don't remember them ever carrying their ceiling over into the postseason. But if you look, the Ravens, now that we are here in the playoffs, have found themselves jumping the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl pricing in some spots. It is incredible to see the way the Ravens are priced, who were the actual best team in football last year and got to a conference title game at home against Kansas City and forgot what was going on. I will say, this game here against Pittsburgh feels as if it will tell us everything, because the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers typically is a very easy handicap. Take the points, enjoy the game. That's how it plays out. That's how it played out in their first meeting when Pittsburgh pulled off a very slight upset. It is not at all how it played out in their second meeting this year where the Ravens rolled. And if the Ravens roll again, maybe this year will be different for Baltimore. Also, if the Ravens roll again, you gotta have conversations in Pittsburgh about your direction. I'm not saying fire Mike Tomlin, but you certainly cannot continue to go at it with somebody who thinks extending Russell Wilson is a good idea. The clock has hit midnight on that situation some time ago. We will continue to see how this line trends. I think Baltimore will be one of the most popular sides of the NFL wildcard weekend. I think Buffalo would have been until Denver just kept hanging it on the Kansas City Chiefs, 38-0. We saw the Broncos roll, early chatter in the streets. It seems like people feel Denver can hang inside this 8.5-point spread. The interesting thing for me, you see your total at 47.5. Now, yes, a big part of that is the Bills' offense that we know this year, 30-plus points, 8-9 consecutive weeks. We know how good Josh Allen and the Bills' offense has been. Josh closes the year as the favorite to win League's MVP. But the last time we saw the Buffalo Bills go up against a team projected to make the postseason was in Detroit, giving up 40-plus. And the week before that was in L.A., giving up 40-plus. Is the Bills' defense still going to be able to produce at a championship level? Test number one will be Denver. In the NFC side of the postseason, the Philadelphia Eagles are currently a 4.5-point favorite against the Green Bay Packers. And the Philadelphia Eagles are still a 4.5-point favorite against the Green Bay Packers, despite a note earlier today from Adam Schefter of ESPN that Jalen Hurts was still in concussion protocol. That very interesting to me. The conversation around Green Bay's Jordan Love, who exited early against the Bears in Week 18, is he will be good to go in this game against the Eagles. We're still waiting on an official word out of Philadelphia, and the books have not dropped this at all. Maybe they're waiting for a better two to come in, but you thought perhaps the books would go back to, I don't know, the look-ahead hypothetical line of -3, a little bit of protection against the world where Jalen Hurts misses this football game. Books don't seem to think that that is necessarily an option right now. We'll see as the week carries on and what this line would look like if it's instead going to be Kenny Pickett or maybe even Tanner McKee. It's a Sunday nighter in Tampa Bay with another NFC East team in the mix. That would be the Commanders. Just like Eagles-Packers, a Week 1 rematch. This was not close in week number 1. A poor game out of Jaden Daniels, but an absolute rock star performance from Baker Mayfield. Can the Bucs keep the momentum rolling is a big question. I will say this, a very surprising line, maybe the most, if I'm honest with myself, of the wild card weekend. I did not think an NFC South champion would get that much respect on the number here, laying over a field goal, in fact, in most spots. Lastly, Monday night, you know we'll be here in the mix with you watching it the whole way. The LA Rams host the Minnesota Vikings. And my prediction at this moment is that the Minnesota Vikings, at a 1.5-point favorite, will put the LA Rams as maybe the most popular underdog in NFL wildcard history. Rams, 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 Rams. That is what betting cards will look like. Doesn't mean they're wrong, but I think that's the situation with the Rams holding their guys back, being at home, and the Vikings putting up the performance that they put up just this past Sunday night against Detroit. We'll talk NFL postseason action when we get to the best game on the NBA board tonight in Sacramento. Kings Heat next.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on Game Time Decisions, and the NBA card tonight has some interesting spots. I've got a card certainly loaded up, and you could argue the best game is Philly and Phoenix with all the drama going on in the Valley. It's tied, though, to what I think is the most interesting game between Sacramento and Miami. A pair of 17-win teams. The Kings, though, have played 3 more games. They've lost 3 more games than the Heat. The Kings, at the moment, a 2.5-point home favorite, despite another absence for De'Aaron Fox. Fox, a part of the conversation, certainly, around what is going to happen with Sacramento. A Kings team, I won't run from it, never would, but certainly you can't when we do what we do, I thought had incredible value to win the Western Conference and placed a wager on it. Now, at a great price. The Mavericks are my NBA championship pick, but I still, despite that, thought Sacramento would have some juice. I thought that DeMar DeRozan being the third best player on this team would be good. It's not been great. Thought Mike Brown would be able to get this team back to a certain level. Mike Brown's not the coach of this team anymore. He's not. But all of a sudden, the Kings have themselves a little win streak going on. Not a massive one, but a nice one. 4 in a row. With a few double-digit victories in there, including yesterday's smashing of Golden State by 30. What stands out is during this run, you could argue the best player has been Malik Monk. Does De'Aaron Fox's current teammate and college teammate make it a little bit easier on Sacramento to potentially oblige a trade request if it does come down from De'Aaron Fox? Probably. Where would De'Aaron Fox end up? One place that would assuredly be interested and maybe have an inside edge if Fox likes playing with his Kentucky crew and Bam Adebayo, that would be the Miami Heat. So does the Miami Heat now, as they try and make their decisions at all, try and factor in De'Aaron Fox coming available? Maybe things falling apart in Milwaukee? Maybe things falling apart in Phoenix. The Jimmy Butler situation, for anybody who's not been keeping close tabs on it due to the NFL postseason, which I understand, is well beyond its breaking point. The trade request has been anteed up in a just get me out of here. The preferences are known. Dallas, Houston, Golden State, with the top spot being the Phoenix Suns. But even that's complicated. Phoenix is presently in disarray. They just dropped Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic to the bench. I saw a theory out there that maybe Bradley Beal's been benched to make him a little more unsettled and happy within the organization, so he'll waive his no-trade clause, clearing the way for the Suns to acquire Jimmy Butler. Whether the Heat take Beal back or not, or you have to rope in a third team, is a question for a later date. It does feel like Phoenix is the early favorite for Jimmy. Golden State probably the second closest option. But what's very interesting is Miami is not looking, and smartly so, because I'm not sure the Jimmy Butler return would allow them to reset the deck, but that's not what they want to do. They want to contend. They want to compete. That's why currently somebody holding a Miami Heat team win total over as one of my favorite bets of the NBA preseason. I'm not in a panic. I'm just annoyed the deal's not done yet. Because instead, the Miami Heat's last two performances couldn't be worse. Gave up 128 at home against Indiana and then 136 at home against Utah. I'm sure people are looking to load up on an over here tonight in Sacramento, but you can tell the absence of De'Aaron Fox is impacting some numbers. If you want to go against what is probably going to be the popular thought process of Fox's absence, you could go under points plus rebounds for Domantas Sabonis. Those numbers in the last 2 years for Sabonis and what his props are tonight, 35.5, 36.5, are way too high based on what we usually see from him. The assist numbers do tick up for Sabonis, unsurprisingly, when Fox is absent. The number I really like, though, in this game is on Miami's big man Bam Adebayo for 10-plus rebounds. First of all, a clear and obvious classic bounce-back spot. Bam has missed this number in 3 consecutive games. But more importantly, Bam has missed this number in the last 2 games playing sub-30 minutes. Not because Bam Adebayo is in hot water with the organization in the same way that, of course, Jimmy Butler is, but because the Miami Heat keep getting absolutely smashed in games. Miami tonight against the Foxless Kings is just a 2.5-point dog with rest advantage in their favor since Sacramento played last night. I'm not sure Miami wins. I didn't want to play a side or a team total, though all of that was given some consideration. I just want Bam Adebayo to do what he does. Let's grab rebounds. I will note, he hasn't been great this season grabbing rebounds, really across the board, but even in Jimmy's absence. Last year, though, in 21 games without Jimmy Butler, 17 of them, he had double-digit boards. Bam Adebayo is going to have to wake up here for the Miami Heat, and I think he will. I mentioned the Phoenix Suns, so I might as well hit this aspect of the NBA card as well, because this game here tonight, you could easily argue, is the best and most intriguing on this slate with the benching of Beal and Nurkic. Well, this for me is a spot where I want to play a first quarter over. Now, unfortunately, not maybe surprisingly, a bet placed before Joel Embiid was ruled out for this basketball game. Embiid was certainly projected by sportsbooks to be playing. Now Phoenix a 1.5-point favorite. Earlier on in the day, we're a 3.5-point underdog. I like over, not really for Beal being benched, but for Jusuf Nurkic being benched. Jusuf Nurkic has been atrocious on the offensive side of the ball this year. He's been Phoenix's best defensive player, though. That's why the things are so bad for Phoenix right now. The roster is not working, and they're too reliant on guys that cannot stay healthy, like Durant and Nurkic this season, who stayed way too healthy last year. The Phoenix Suns, ultimately, are probably the most under-discussed storyline in the NBA this season, and I will tell you this now. No team in the NBA is happier about how things are going than the Houston Rockets. In the playoffs, cool, great, got it. They are eyeing up this situation in Phoenix. Initially, their thoughts were that they were going to have to trade for Durant. Things are so bad in the Valley, maybe next year they'll be able to get Devin Booker to request out and join that Rockets young core. Time will tell. Let's get some Sports Millions Pick'em next.
They let the guy run the practice and leave the building, have a press conference, and then you fire him on a cell phone call while he's in the car. Shame on you, Sacramento. You haven't been good since Chris Webber, White Chocolate, Lottie Divac, Corliss Big Nasty Williamson, and obviously Rick Alleman as a coach. No one wonder why you've been a joke for the last quarter century.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Kevin Walsh here on Game Time Decisions. Still so much to get to on this busy Monday night. The NFL postseason picture is, of course, set. We've seen coaches now get fired. Some will be keeping their jobs. We get trade requests we talk about in the NBA and the NFL, maybe one from Tyreek Hill. But what can we do tonight? What can we get involved with tonight over on Sports Millions Pick'em? Well, we get a little bit of help. Tom Vecchio, who joined us a little bit here as well on the desk, and Joe Madden with their action tonight over on Sports Millions Pick'em.
Tom, we have a great slate to start looking at our Sports Million picks today. I know you've got one here in basketball. I've got one in hockey, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, let's jump into some NBA. The Knicks are at home. They're taking on the Orlando Magic. I specifically like Josh Hart higher than 9.5 rebounds. He's been a phenomenal rebounder, not just this season, dating back to last year. We look back at some of his recent game log. He's routinely putting up 12, 14, 16 rebounds. I also want to factor in that Karl-Anthony Towns is listed as questionable tonight. And let's be honest, like Karl-Anthony Towns has been absolutely phenomenal, but they don't need to push him out there in this matchup against the Magic. And when we look at the Magic overall, they're bottom 10 in the league when it comes to total rebounds as a team per game. So Karl-Anthony Towns, a little bit banged up with his knee injury. It's still a beginning portion of the season. Like there's no need for him to be out there. So let Karl-Anthony Towns rest, get Josh Hart out there to do his thing, pile up 10 plus rebounds, and he's going to be in a great spot against the Magic tonight. I know you got one in hockey. What is it?
Okay, I love where you're going with that. And in hockey, I'm looking at the late game out here between the New Jersey Devils and the Seattle Kraken. And this is going to be a really interesting matchup because this Devils team has been struggling out there, Tom. But one thing that's been consistent is Dougie Hamilton. He's been so strong at being able to get those shots on goal. Now he's on that top defensive line as well as the top power play out here. And I do think his shots on goal is a nice way to look at tonight for the higher. That number coming in at 2.5. We look at him the last time that he faced the Seattle Kraken. He was able to get 4 shots on goal in that matchup. 126 shots on goal overall on the season here. Last game versus the Sharks, he had 4. Last game versus a strong Kings defense, he had 4 shots on goal. And facing the Seattle Kraken, who don't provide that resistance defensively, I think he should nicely be able to hit higher than 2.5 shots on goal. So that's where I'm going with Dougie Hamilton. You could look at him for his point as well, Tom, but I just feel like he's so much stronger here getting those shots tonight.
Yep, getting those shots on goal. Devils in a spot to rebound overall after a couple of tough losses for them, especially on the road. They are in a good spot tonight.
Yeah, this should be a really interesting matchup. One of these teams absolutely needs to get the win, but there's so many different games that you can look at for your Sports Millions picks tonight. I really like where we're going with both of these. Both of us are looking at the higher on our players tonight, Tom. So do you just want to recap who you're looking at one more time for us?
Yeah, Josh Hart higher than 9.5 rebounds. Great match of them going up against the Magic. Karl-Anthony Towns may not play. Let Josh Hart do his thing, pick up those boards, keep the Knicks in a great spot.
Okay, and for myself, I will look at Dougie Hamilton higher than 2.5 shots on goal here for the New Jersey Devils against the Seattle Kraken. Should be a great night out there on the basketball court as well on the ice. So you guys, all the best in your Sports Millions picks.
Great stuff as always from both Joe and Tom. And again, Tom will join us here shortly on Game Time Decisions. And Tom talking about Josh Hart tonight. And it's actually incredible to see the way the Knicks are rebounding the basketball overall. Karl-Anthony Towns leads the NBA in rebounds per game at 14, which, again, firstly, is incredible. Just to think about the fact that Cat was brought over and there was a lot of panic around what that would mean for the front court of the New York Knicks. Then you look at what Josh Hart's been doing over the last 7 games. He is currently averaging the 6th most rebounds per game in the NBA in that window since Christmas. It's not come at the expense of Cat, who's averaging the 2nd most in basketball at 14.7. It's just very impressive. And at some point, you expect Mitchell Robinson to get back in the mix. What will that mean for the New York Knicks, a team who I know dropped, their most recent games, but I do think I think by the time we get to the postseason, they will feel like the challenger that many expected them to be to win the Eastern Conference. 2 other guys to take a look at on the NBA side, Sports Millions pick'em-wise. One is Giannis for higher than 31.5 points. Giannis and the Bucks enter tonight's game on a 2-game losing streak. We have seen Giannis be excellent scoring the ball always, but specifically when we are watching a struggling Milwaukee Bucks team. And then Anthony Edwards right now 24.5 higher, scored 53 last game. Perhaps more importantly, took 31 shots. I think Ant wants the basketball to try and snap Minnesota out of all of this. We'll bring Tom in next right here on Game Time Decisions.
like to toot my own horn, and I know that I'm setting myself up for probably disappointment later tonight, but I hope you were with us last week on the Final Five, because we almost swept the board. We had 2 out of 3 on the power play points with Reinhart and Matthews. We hit the goal scorer line A. We hit the side with Washington. We hit the total with the over in Toronto and Buffalo. So we had a really good Final Five last week, and I'm hoping that we can now ride that wave.
Only on SportsGrid.
50 points in a fourth quarter for the Atlanta Hawks. Like, what is going on? It's like circus numbers. What are we doing?
And we sound like 2 old heads complaining. It's a tough watch. It's a tough watch sometimes. I don't mind the shooting. I just know the numbers. Like, when you strictly look at it from the numbers in betting, it's getting really hard to bet.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Louis Riddick has interviewed for every job in North America. And I'm not just talking football. I'm talking about every business in North America of any kind whatsoever. Tire companies, grocery store CEOs, shopping malls, insurance companies. What job hasn't Louis Riddick interviewed for?
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The NBA will take center stage once football stops, and people will watch the NBA playoffs and all that. But the standings are whacked out in the Western Conference. Like, Oklahoma City, Memphis, and the Houston Rockets are the best teams in the conference.
You want to talk about a team with overs and no defense? The Wizards are your team. It's unbelievable. They can't make a total high enough. It's nuts.
Sports Rage tonight. Weeknights 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on SportsGrid. It is game time decisions. Kevin Walsh with you. We've shown it a few times. Just quickly, that NBA card for me tonight. We've mentioned the Bam Adebayo, 10-plus rebounds at even money. Mentioned the first quarter over that I'm going to play with the lineup changes for the Phoenix Suns at 54.5, their game with the Sixers. I'm also playing under 236.5 for the Bulls and the Spurs. I think there's a world that both teams' legs taken out of them a little bit with their most recent action. The great series between the Spurs and the Nuggets and Jokic versus Wemby. The Bulls coming off of Derrick Rose night. I also think those games that they played inflated a little bit the total that we see between those two teams tonight. And then I am going to lay the 2 points with the Minnesota Timberwolves at home against the Clippers. I think this is the bottom of the market for a team whose downfall is certainly one I was expecting preseason. I'm not sure I was even expecting at this level. People were trying to somehow tell themselves that Minnesota made a great deal with the Knicks. They made an atrocious one, a foolish one, and one at the time I said was very likely going to lead to Anthony Edwards asking out of Minnesota. The clock continues to tick. We just saw Tom, though, tell us a little bit about Josh Hart, and he's now with us here. Tom Vecchio. Tom, I know you think Josh Hart can get it done off on the glass in the Knicks matchup tonight. Any other NBA action for you?
No other NBA action for me tonight. I have one NHL play tonight. I'm keeping it very simple. Coming off of a very average day I had yesterday, close out the NBA season. Kind of want to gear up for the playoffs. So I'm taking a little bit slow, at least these first few days of this week. I'm not like super big into college football. We've discussed this, but I will get some action on the board for the games this weekend. So it's like kind of ramping up for that.
All right, fair enough. You mentioned you are on the NHL board. Where are you going to be playing tonight?
That's just the Devils to win in regulation. It's the three-way money line. It was sitting at -125, -130. It continues to move a bit. The Devils are a good team. Like, they're on a West Coast road trip. They're on a multi-game losing streak at this point. But I like them where they are on the regulation. They're simply better compared to Seattle. And when we look at some of the advanced numbers for the Devils, their goal scoring rate per 60 minutes is actually lower than their expected goal scoring rate. So they are due for some like positive regression. So I'm just always going to be buying into good teams that like should be doing more offensively. And especially coming off the game that they lost against the Sharks. Like, just wasn't good performance from Jacob Markstrom, their goalie. So it's just like a bounce back spot, which I know you love. Like, they're just the right teams back in this spot.
Adore bounce back spot. Few things really better in sports. Let me ask you this quickly. I mean, it'd be not. I don't know. It's probably difficult to, snap fingers and grab some a national slot. But with, of course, tonight being the first time we don't have Monday Night Football, we'll get it again next week. And I know you'll be part of the coverage there. With Colorado, Florida, maybe that's not unintentional from the NHL. That's a big-time matchup. Two teams that are right now within the top 6 odds to win. You talk about 2 of the last 3 teams to win the Stanley Cup, and both certainly having solid enough seasons here. Tom, is that a game even just result-wise you're interested in?
I am, especially coming off the game that the Avs had the other day. They lost in not only they lost to the Habs, which is unbelievable, but they lost in a shootout. They had the lead late, like they just took penalties, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm always interested in these games where we have 2 good teams. Like it's legitimately a coin flip game.
Yeah.
For me, it comes down to what we see from some of the players that like weren't performing in what was objectively an easy matchup versus the Habs, and if they bounce back. And the same thing with Florida. Like they've been a little bit up and down. Florida also lost the Habs at the end of I don't know, the 30th, 31st, whatever it was, dating back just a couple of days ago. So like both of these teams are just a little bit up and down right now, but this is like a game they have to gear up for. It's kind of like what we just saw from the Thunder and the Celtics. Like whatever the results were beforehand, but it's like this is the game that you want to be ready for.
Yeah, I think that makes all the sense in the world. On the Colorado side, McKinnon, I noticed his MVP price is growing a little bit favorably. A few weeks back, I can't say exactly when, but I was talking with Dave Sharapan around the Hart Trophy. And you and I were just joking a little bit off air about, my knowledge of the NHL, who I do and who I don't know. And Kaprizov is a guy who, again, a few weeks ago was booked as the favorite. And I'm not sure how familiar I am with Kaprizov. And I know this really might sound naive, but I feel confident in this take. You're not going to win the Hart Trophy in the season that I become familiar with you. There's just no way someone could surprise like that. And Kaprizov now jumped by both mainstays in McDavid and McKinnon.
So, first off, he was hurt. So that's just one thing. Number 2, he is a former Rookie of the Year winner. So he's been in the league for a couple of years. He's a bona fide 40, 50 potential goal scorer. For my money, I think he's going to be the next best Russian goal scorer behind Ovechkin. I'm not going to say he's going to have 800 some odd goals, but he has been on this path for multiple years, coming into the league as a highly touted prospect, winning Rookie of the Year, the Calder Trophy, and then being on this path over the past few seasons. The injury has certainly set him back. Also combined with Minnesota, where they are in the standings, they're a good team. And I think they're performing above expectations this year. And their goalie has certainly been good with Philip Gustafsson, but he's behind the 8 ball considering the name recognition that McDavid and McKinnon have. That's just really what it comes down to. He is phenomenal, though.
Yeah, no, listen. And now he's on the radar. He's on the radar.
Yeah.
Next year, a legitimate option. Feels like this year would just be a little bit too surprising. Tell me, Tom, of course, with the NFL postseason set, the wild card round, we've got 6 games to sink our teeth into. What is the one game where something maybe about the line surprised you or something you maybe feel strongly about right now?
The Rams. All Rams. The Rams, it's down to 1.5. It was 2.5 when it opened last night. I got it at 2.5. I'm on the Rams to win the conference. I was talking to Ben and Donnie this morning. If we just look at the odds for the conference overall for the NFC, if the Rams win, which I certainly think they can over Minnesota, and we see the Eagles beat the Packers, 2 of the teams ahead of the Rams will immediately be eliminated, right? So we're getting them at 13-1, 14-1, whatever it is. That number is going to drop, right? And I'm not saying they're going to be the favorite. They're not as good as the Lions. They're not as good as the Eagles. But if the Eagles take care of business and we see the Rams upset the Vikings, that's going to be a great ticket to have at 14 or 13-1, which is I grabbed them this morning. So I'm just interested in that game. I'm also interested in this in the Philly under, depending on, obviously, Jalen Hurts. He's still in concussion protocol. And then the weather, that could be an impact in Philadelphia. I know it's supposed to hit Saturday, Sunday, whatever happens with that. But, we have 2 teams that want to run the ball. And combined with the weather, and that Hurts may not be throwing, or there may not be as many designed runs for Jalen Hurts if he's coming off his concussion protocol. I already took him under 9.5 rushing attempts. He should not be rushing the ball after this multi-week absence.
That's interesting. I think that just what I've occasionally seen from Philly is they like to almost go into the narrative a little bit, if you will. You think about the game against Pittsburgh where they're like, they can't pass. It's like, what if we only pass this game? Don't be surprised if Hurts runs it on the very first play of the game. Not saying they should, just
don't be surprised if that's something that they did there. You mentioned the Rams. How far do you realistically see that team going, though? Because the one thing that they do have in their favor, you look at coach-quarterback combinations that are presently together and have put Super Bowl trophies on the board. I mean, it's them and then Mahomes and Reed, right? It's Stafford, McVay. It's Mahomes and Reed. So 14-1, yes, Tom, it's a great number if they win. But where do you see that number going? Do you actually feel that team could get on a run and win the NFC?
They're not better than the Lions or the Eagles. Like I'm fully on board with saying those teams are the best, but just having that ticket is something that I'm interested in. And plus the narrative going into, obviously depending on how the reseeding works, lowest seed going to whatever may happen if they play at the Lions, Rams do. That would be an interesting matchup. And there would be so much going into that with Stafford going up against his former teams. Like it's the Lions year, all these things that I just want to have that ticket. So will they make it to the conference finals? Probably not, but I'm just buying into the ticket and a little bit of the hype that like they've proven it before. And that's what I want to know in the playoffs.
Yeah, look, they have a level of pedigree, again, that very few have. And in sports, that matters. It's not just an NBA thing. It's becoming more of an NFL thing than people realize. When you think about listen, the Chiefs have been unimpressive, but it's the Chiefs, right? So, and I'm not saying that it's an apples-to-apples comparison, but to your point around the LA Rams, you'll be able to make, hey, would you rather Stafford or Goff? So it's an interesting one. Tom Vecchio, we appreciate it as always. We'll be right back talking a little bit more around the NFL postseason next.
They let the guy run the practice and leave the building, have a press conference, and then you fire him on a cell phone call while he's in the car. Shame on you, Sacramento. You haven't been good since Chris Webber, White Chocolate, Lottie Divac, Corliss Big Nasty Williamson, and obviously Rick Alleman as a coach. No one wonder why you've been a joke for the last quarter century.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you right here on Game Time Decisions. And right now, you look at the card tonight, the NBA, there's a few interesting spots there. We've gone through, and we can kind of just reset that for you quickly. You've got Detroit, who has the opportunity tonight with a win, 500 basketball in January for the Detroit Pistons. That's a big deal. 6.5-point favored to do so. We'll see. They did just lose Jaden Ivey, very likely for the season. All that's going to do, though, is put more responsibility on Cade Cunningham, who's going to make an all-star team this year, maybe win most improved player in the NBA. It's been a great start so far for Detroit. The Pacers have a similar opportunity. I will say I'm a little tempted to grab the points with the Brooklyn Nets at home. Make the Pacers prove it one more time that they are turning the corner. I'm going to back off. The injuries are bountiful for a bad team already. Cam Johnson, Ben Simmons, D'Angelo Russell's missing this game. I'm backing off. Just to give you some perspective, though, if the Pacers win that basketball game, this is going to be the first time they are over 500 since they were 1-0. It's taken a long time for the Pacers to get back to this level. We mentioned Sixers Suns over 54.5 for the first quarter. The injury news is just piling on now. Looking to take advantage of no Nurkic. Embiid out, Drummond out. It's not my favorite play. I think I can still get there, certainly on the ticket. But the Sixers are way more injured than I was anticipating heading into that one. Knicks Magic tonight. You're going to have New York laying 11.5. Milwaukee's numbers down to 5.5 due to Middleton being out. It shot up. I was tweeting about this earlier today. The Giannis props. You could have clipped some really good 30-plus odds at minus 115 for Antetokounmpo, who's leading the NBA in scoring at 32.3 points per game. But without Middleton, that number got just a touch out of the price range for me tonight. Some unfortunate news out of Dallas. Let me tell you, man, this is a Mavericks team. Keep your eyes on their price. I have already seen enough. You can call it confirmation bias if you want. It'd be a bit of a wild move to do with the most unbiased man in the history of sports media sitting in front of you. Whatever you want, though. I've seen enough to feel very good about my Dallas futures, and I will be willing to reinvest at a better price if it comes available. A 4-game losing streak, losing 5 out of 6 with the Luka Doncic injury, certainly being tough to get through. Now Kyrie with a bulging disc is going to miss a couple of weeks of basketball as well. For Dallas, you got to get into the postseason. Dallas is going to get into the postseason. The Mavericks are currently right now the 6th seed, okay, just with tiebreakers and things of that nature. But a dog tonight, they're going to drop a little bit, the Mavericks, during this run. You cannot let this extend 6, 7, 8 game losing streak here. But I know that the healthy Dallas Mavericks are one of the 4 best teams in the NBA. I feel very, very confident about that. Very confident. Dallas, Boston, OKC, and then we'll have a conversation. We'll have a conversation around the Cavs and the Knicks. For the Cavs, that's probably super unfair because they're 31-4. But that's a conversation we'll have in April. But I know in April, I already feel really good about who Boston, who OKC, and who the Dallas Mavericks are. Laying the 2 with Minnesota, I think that's bottom of the market when you take a look at that number. And then in South Beach, where the issues in Miami don't just extend to the Heat. Ahmad Bam Adebayo, 10-plus rebounds. The issues also extend to the Miami Dolphins. If you have not heard what Tyreek Hill said yesterday, you have to appreciate the openness, but it was a little stunning. I don't even know if you want to call it a trade request, more as Tyreek Hill just talking. Let me allow you to listen to it, and we'll talk more about what this means for the Miami Dolphins and their star receiver. Here's Tyreek Hill after their loss yesterday to the New York Jets.
As a captain, what is the message you have to these guys in the offseason as we won't feel this at the end of the season next year?
I don't even know, bro. This is my first time I haven't been in the playoffs, man. So, I mean, for me, like I said, man, I just got to do what's best for me and my family, dog. If that's here or that's wherever the case may be, man, I'm finna open that door for myself, dog. As I'm opening the door, like I'm out, bro. So it was great playing here, but at the end of the day, bro, I got to do what's best for for my career and what's best, because I'm too much of a competitor to be just out there.
Mean you thinking about leaving here?
If it is, hey, yeah.
Tyreek Hill there in clear disbelief,
right? That the Miami Dolphins are going to miss the postseason. The Miami Dolphins finished the season 8-9. They lost yesterday to the Jets. They needed a win and some help. You wonder how much of that result was tied to the unlikeliness of the help, which was Denver losing to Kansas City. Certainly a lot of it, though, also has to do with the fact that Tyler Huntley was their quarterback within that game as well. I know Huntley threw for 225. I know the defense allowed Aaron Rodgers to throw 4 passing touchdowns, potentially on the way out. And that video, again, there came from Omar Kelly, so just to credit that there. I don't want to hold Tyreek Hill too much to those words. I don't know how much thought Tyreek Hill put into those words. Clearly, Tyreek Hill is not going to sign up to play for anything less than a team that has high expectations, though. And I think that is where, if you're the Dolphins, if you're Tyreek, it feels as if that moment is Tyreek going, this isn't a legitimate contender, because you should be able to go, Tyreek, well, hold on, we're above 500 with Tua. If we had Tua, some of the losses we had, Colts, Colts, Titans, Seattle, we would have been fine if we just had Tua. I don't think Tyreek believes that. Does Miami believe that? Because they're already committed to bringing back Mike McDaniel. It looks like it could be an odd offseason, certainly in South Beach. There's already some odd off seasons loading up. We'll talk about that next year. It's Game Time Decisions.
They let the guy run the practice and leave the building, have a press conference, and then you fire him on a cell phone call while he's in the car. Shame on you, Sacramento. You haven't been good since Chris Webber, White Chocolate, Lottie Divac, Corliss Big Nasty Williamson, and obviously Rick Alleman as a coach. No one wonder why you've been a joke for the last quarter century.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back right here on Game Time Decisions, and we saw some decisions made around the National Football League, some surprising, some not so much. One that would have been very surprising to me a few weeks ago, but became pretty clear, was the decision made by the New England Patriots on Gerard Mayo. If you looked, there was some buzz around it a week or two out from the season coming to a close, right? Then yesterday, we saw Adam Schefter suggest that his expectation with Mayo would be gone. So some people think maybe Gerard Mayo was fired for winning that football game against Buffalo. Nope. He might have been fired at the second the game ended because they were bothered that win for the New England Patriots cost them the first overall selection and did drop them back ultimately to 4, potentially outside the range of Travis Hunter, certainly outside the opportunity to trade the first overall pick and whatever you could have netted from that. But I believe the New England Patriots had made the decision well before yesterday's game that they were going to move on from Gerard Mayo. And I don't think Gerard Mayo got a fair shake whatsoever. The Patriots were projected to be the worst team in football. They were the worst team in football. You got exactly what you paid for. I owe him someone who I think it is still the majority believe you're better off with an offense-first coach than defense-first coach. The Patriots had this succession plan for Gerard Mayo for a very long time. And I think part of the reason Gerard Mayo is gone is what is now likely a real disdain between Kraft and Belichick. I remember when the Philadelphia Eagles let Chip Kelly go, Howie Roseman back in charge. Anyone tied to Chip Kelly, player-wise, gone, had to be moved from. I wonder if Mayo being gone is almost somewhat Robert Kraft once again now saying, I got to get out of the Bill Belichick era. Forget the Patriot way, the Robert Kraft way, we need to win football games. You know, the idea is Ben Johnson is going to command a lot of money and a lot of control. I think Robert Kraft's ready to give it to him. Before Adam Schefter was out there telling people he leaned out for Gerard Mayo, there were tweets suggesting that keep an eye on Ben Johnson in New England. Ben Johnson, I'm sure, was not surprised to see the end result for the New England Patriots yesterday. Maybe a little disappointed to see that they beat the Buffalo Bills. I feel as if that is where this is all trending towards. Ben Johnson ending up the head coach of the New England Patriots. The New York Giants will not be looking for a new head coach. They're going to stick with Dable, as well as their general manager, Joe Shane. Some people in New York frustrated by this. I wouldn't be. I still think Brian Dable's a good coach. I think Daniel Jones is about the worst franchise quarterback we've ever seen. I still can't believe that they made that decision. And yes, the guys who made that decision in part are both Dable and Shane. I don't know how much of a choice they had in the matter. But you look back at the decision that they made this past April, you could argue they got the most talented football player in that draft in Malik Neighbors. You could argue it. What I feel pretty good about is they got a player in Malik Neighbors much better than any of the wide receivers that will be entering this draft. Travis Hunter notwithstanding the two-way versatility, that's a different conversation. The question for the Giants is, do they get to try their hand at drafting Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, or are they looking for a stopgap, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers? Do they want to pay a Brock Purdy, a Sam Darnold? I think they draft. But, man, would it be interesting if the Giants said, listen, we're going to stick this out for the long term. We'll draft in 2026 when the quarterback class is supposed to be much, much better. Some other news, and certainly tied to the draft, the Jaguars move on from Doug Peterson. They keep Trent Baalke. Jacksonville drafting 5. I don't think any team would be more willing to let Travis Hunter do whatever he wants than the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just don't know if Travis Hunter lasts all the way to 5. We mentioned McDaniel gets to keep the job in Miami. You're also going to see the job stay for Shane Steichen in Indianapolis. A very good decision. I still think Steichen has the goods. I don't know what's going to become of that quarterback room. One interesting and one headline bit of news in the coordinator world, Lou Anarumo out for Cincinnati. What else is new? Bad decisions made by the Bengals front office. This offseason is going to be a disaster for that group. They're not playing postseason football. We'll talk about the teams that are next.
let the guy run the practice and leave the building, have a press conference, and then you fire him on a cell phone call while he's in the car. Shame on you, Sacramento. You haven't been good since Chris Webber, White Chocolate, Vlade Divac, Corliss Big Nasty Williamson, and obviously Rick Alleman as a coach. No one wonder why you've been a joke for the last quarter century.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all. Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions. We're live with you on this Monday night. I'm Kevin Walsh. Coming up, we do have some college basketball going on. Wisconsin Rutgers. You know I can't get in the mix here in Jersey. Late night, you have some Big Ten basketball between Minnesota and Ohio State. Lean under. Didn't love the game. I am on TCU catching 18.5. There is college football on. Montana State, North Dakota State. The FCS Championship, Montana State looking to button up a 16-0 season. All I ask is they hang a national championship banner and claim that they are better than anybody even at the FBS level, because I enjoy things like that. It upsets people for some reason. It really bothered people when UCF did it. I think it's sweet. I think it's fun. Have some fun, Montana State, if you can get the job done as a 4.5-point favorite. We do have the NFL postseason right around the corner. And I really want to talk about the lines, the way they move, and maybe what changes regular season to postseason. To help us do all that, that's Brady Cannon joining us right here on Game Time Decisions. Brady, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be with you once again and talking postseason football for the first time all year, of course, Kevin. Good to be here. One thing that's nice about this particular stage in the game where we are is I no longer have to go through the numbers for 16 games. The field has been limited here. So my work is cut in half, if not more.
Well, I want to start with, man, Brady, I have about a 1,000 questions, so we'll see. You know, hopefully, I think we'll have time to get to it all. The first question I want to ask you is, when you are, kind of trying to map out a postseason game, are you ever in a spot where you maybe give a team a bump or maybe even a downgrade with postseason experience being factored in? Or are the Kansas City Chiefs going to get an additional 2 points for being the Chiefs? And maybe does that then explain why the Chiefs can look not good and then be much better when a postseason begins?
It's a great question. I'd never really thought of that. And maybe I just kind of do it instinctively. But yes, I think Andy Reid, even Jim Harbaugh, who, has been in the NFL before, he's been in a Super Bowl before, he's been in a college football national championship before, different from DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans has coached as a coordinator in a Super Bowl, I believe. No, maybe not, actually. But he's been at that level only as a coordinator, not as a head coach. Mm-hmm. Looking at Sean Payton obviously has the experience. Dan Quinn, Kevin O'Connell. But yeah, I think some of these coaches, and I think that's part of where we are in the NFL. Regardless, Kevin, I think we have to start handicapping coaches more maybe than we ever used to, because some of this decision making from some, I mean, we're to the cream of the crop now. There's not a whole lot of Raheem Morris's left in this postseason stuff where we saw just absolute nonsense sometimes throughout this season. Unbelievable. So I think for the most part, these coaches are all pretty darn good. But yeah, some might be better than others. And like you say, experience, maybe you can award a point or even more. And it kind of ties into home field advantage too.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, and you're right, the coaches certainly matter. You get to the level. I do think there is a little bit of, maybe not, but I feel as if there's a little bit of danger for the NFL. If Kansas City does go out there and win a Super Bowl, I know they have the best record. I think anyone eyes would tell you they are not the best team in football. And last year they weren't the best team in football. And if that leads to a three-peat, Brady, it gets very NBA-esque of the regular season does not matter. That's not how the NFL operates. The NFL regular season matters. There's a reason that I'm here until midnight on Mondays and Thursdays. Every game matters in the NFL, good, bad, or indifferent. If this is the postseason, again, Brady, I know you bet the NBA. Hey, the postseason started. Yeah, well, the Durant Warriors are now the greatest team. It's much different than a Tuesday against the Clippers, right? So I think that gets very, very interesting. Let me ask you this: do you have right now within your numbers who you feel the lowest power rated team would be of the 14 that we have in the postseason?
That's a good question, and I would have to do this kind of off the top of my head. I'm just looking at a chart here, and I will, full disclosure, I don't have the latest updated numbers. I have not adjusted my numbers from what we saw last week, but I'm probably really only going to look specifically through week 17. Obviously, a lot of what we saw on Sunday, week 18, those games don't really mean a whole lot as far as how this team is normally performing. But just off the top of my head, I would have to say probably the Rams and the Texans are the lowest power rated teams I have.
Yeah.
You know, the Buccaneers are a team that is kind of weird for me. Their numbers are starting to shape more into form and who they really are, I believe, than what they were maybe earlier in the season. The Broncos numbers have been weird all year, and I think they're skewed because the defense has been pretty good. And for a large portion of this season, they played very much so weaker competition. And they really feasted on weaker competition. And we saw them get beaten up when they stepped up in class. You know, they lost to the Chargers recently. They were pummeled by the Ravens. And, you know, they lost a heartbreaker. I mean, it kind of goes to your point about the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs are, you know, a one-loss team. Well, they barely beat the Broncos. These other teams that are apparently for real in Los Angeles and Baltimore, they had no problem with Denver. So, you know, that kind of speaks to the Chiefs situation or their power rating as well. But I would say probably the Texans and the Rams and the Buccaneers are a close second. Those three teams certainly would be the lowest power rated.
Yeah, I think to me, and I ask for this reason, just not what I think, but what I'm trying to project out for the way that the books are posting their numbers. I think they view Houston as the worst team in the playoffs. Pittsburgh was a projected pick, if not slim favorite in Houston when that was the potential game. The Chargers get to play the Texans. Had the Chargers lost, they would play the Ravens. And the swing, I think, Brady, is playing the worst team, according to the books. I think the books think the Ravens are the best team in the National Football League right now, based on the way the numbers are lining up. I'm curious how you view it.
Yeah, I don't think you're altogether wrong there or right. I think maybe the numbers are most power. I mean, that offense is electric. Now, Zay Flowers is currently listed as questionable, but they're so powerful offensively, and the defense has improved. You remember mid-season, even 3/4 of the way into the season, we were talking about how awful this pass defense was for Baltimore. Well, they have improved in that area quite a bit. They are becoming a much more complete team. I still believe Detroit is the best team in football, and we've seen them slowly but surely get healthier. Now, they did lose one cornerback, I believe, in that Sunday night win over the Minnesota Vikings. Not sure he's going to be around for a little bit. But I expect they're going to get some other players back, very key players, including David Montgomery, and maybe if they make it all the way to the Super Bowl, maybe even Aiden Hutchinson as well. I still have Detroit as the best team, and I would put Buffalo and Baltimore right there as, 2A and 2B. But I think Detroit, and we saw it last night, really, Kevin, in that second half. When Detroit's at their best, I don't know if anybody can beat them.
Yeah, I think that game last night a little bit, maybe me, eye of the beholder. And maybe I've been waiting for Sam Darnold to play like that all year to go, ha! But that's how I felt a little bit coming off of that football game, Brady.
You know what, Kevin? Maybe the biggest game he's ever played in his life. My friend and I were watching all the games yesterday, and he talked about who we're going to bet on for Sunday night. One of his handicaps was Sam Darnold has never been in a game this big in his life. Maybe we have to go back to college. That was certainly the biggest NFL stage he's ever been on, and you can tell it probably affected him.
Yeah, it certainly did. Let's ask Brady a little bit about some of the lines that are out now for Wild Card Weekend. Next, right here, it's Game Time Decisions.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
All right, back right here on Game Time Decisions. Kevin Walsh with you, joined by Brady Cannon. On a Monday, I want to get the opportunity to talk about the lines that are available for the wild card round and check back in. Where will these move? How does Brady see them as we sit here? I want to start, Brady, with a tricky one, which is Philadelphia and Green Bay, because we haven't seen Jalen Hurts in a little bit. Today, they acknowledged he's still in concussion protocol. The number at 4.5 didn't budge an inch, certainly suggests that odds makers at the moment don't feel as if there's a chance Jalen Hurts is going to miss this football game.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I don't think Jordan Love misses it either. We saw him bang his finger up a little bit over the weekend in that loss to the Bears, but I think he's just fine. Christian Watson is expected to be out for this game, and I don't know if he'll miss games going forward if they do advance, but he looks to be out indefinitely, I believe is the proper phrase they're using on the injury report. But I think the line's about right. Even these not completely up-to-date numbers that I gave you or I was referencing in the first segment, they make the Eagles a 4-point favorite. And you mentioned 4.5. There are 4s and 4.5s in the market. So apparently that looks to be pretty accurate according to my numbers for the last 5 or 6 weeks or so. Obviously, a little bit of same season revenge here for the Green Bay Packers, who lost the season opener to the Eagles down in Brazil. I think this ought to be a very good contest. I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers keep this one close, but here's something to think about. When we get to this particular round of the playoffs, Kevin, I think it's this round, the wild card round, where you have the highest percentage. The divisional round is, I believe, just a little bit less, but this is the highest kind of grouping of the entire year. We have the regular season, where the team that covers the spread typically wins the game over 80% of the time. I think it's somewhere between 80 and 84% of the time, meaning when underdogs cover, they typically win outright. And when favorites win, they typically cover the spread. So, and now you move on to the wild card round, where I believe that jumps up to about 87 or 88% of the time. So it's that simple. The point spreads don't matter, Kevin. Just pick who's going to win the game. And if you think Philly's going to beat the Packers, then they're probably also going to cover.
Yeah, I think for me, you and I have talked about this. You mentioned feeling that Detroit is the best team in football. I think it's the Philadelphia Eagles. If I'm honest, I think it's by a lot, quite frankly. I don't think anybody offers the ceiling on both sides of the ball that the Eagles do. I think the Lions defense, again, first of all, the Lions just lost another player on defense last night in Terrion Arnold. The final shot of the game was Zietler walking off to the sideline and looked banged up. I know they have the bye. With the way the season is gone, they'll probably lose someone during the bye week as well. That's what's been going on for Detroit. I think, to me, the question is just, is there a chance that we're breaking down a Kenny Pickett start or a Tanner McKee start? I also think Jordan Love is a super dangerous quarterback, and I think that is relevant. I think what's super fascinating, Brady, is this is a Week 1 rematch. Same is true of Tampa Bay and Washington.
Yeah.
At all, do those Week 1 games influence how you shape the matchups that we have on Sunday?
Well, I'm sure the coaches are looking at it. I think Matt LaFleur is a great coach. You got to respect Sirianni. I probably give LaFleur a little bit of an edge. I don't know if he has the horses that Sirianni has, but I really like him as a coach, and I think he'll certainly be studying that affair down in Brazil. With Dan Quinn and the Buccaneers and the Commanders, that game, that was Jaden Daniels' very first game as an NFL professional. And I believe, I can't remember if I think I did bet against. I think I was on Tampa Bay that day. I know we took him in the contest, and we were basically betting against a rookie quarterback in his debut. Well, everything changed after that. And I kind of think I think the Commanders win this game. I mean, I'll go there with you. I think there is a little bit of same season revenge in play here, more so than the Packers and the Eagles. That one was, in Brazil, kind of a weird, outlier type game. I think this one's a little bit more close to home for the Commanders and the Buccaneers. And we saw the Commanders really turn their season around after being really shellacked by the Buccaneers. I want to say that was close to a 20-point margin, something like that. The Buccaneers won that game by. I think Washington's going to show up. And Tampa Bay, I mean, the coordinator, Liam Cohen, I believe is his name. I can't remember exactly his name. Wonderful job he's done. Bowles, you have to give him a ton of credit as well. Their defense has basically been injured all year long, and they're still coming up with good defensive efforts. They have very little of a receiving core the last few weeks, and Mike Evans has carried the torch, and Baker Mayfield. I mean, how can you ignore this guy's competitiveness? They're a fun story, but I think Washington might be the better team. When you get into the nuts and bolts of it and health and everything they're able to do on both, the Washington defense has improved quite a bit, certainly since week one. The point spread will tell you that this is a pretty close to pick'em game. I make it actually closer to a pick'em than the Buccaneers by 2.5 or 3. Actually, it's gone to 3.5 in some spots. I don't agree with that move. I would, if you're going to make me lay 2.5, maybe I take the Bucks, but with a full 3 or 3.5, absolutely give me some Commanders.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, Brady. I certainly didn't expect this line, right? I'm up in the air at the moment, right, of where I'll land on the game. But I didn't think anybody who won the NFC South was going to be laying over a field goal against anybody in the wild card portion from the NFC. It made me wonder, and are they concerned around Jaden Daniels' health at all in the slightest? Is that a thing? Similar to kind of what you're saying here, I was not expecting to see that number look the way that it did, but Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, first start. Baker has a lot more pedigree, I think, than people realize, which is a part of the puzzle as well. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to have Brady stick around very quickly. We did play golf this past weekend. Brady is ready for full-on golf season. And also, the big point spreads over a touchdown out there. Next is Game Time Decisions.
They let the guy run the practice and leave the building, have a press conference, and then you fire him on a cell phone call while he's in the car. Shame on you, Sacramento. You haven't been good since Chris Webber, White Chocolate, Vlade Divac, Corliss Big Nasty Williamson, and obviously Rick Alleman as a coach. No one wonder why you've been a joke for the last quarter century.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, back right here on SportsGrid. We have Brady Cannon around just for a little bit more. So, Brady, I want to ask you, because you mentioned the point spreads and how Listen, just go out there, and if they're going to win, they're going to cover. I wonder, though, do we know if we kind of scale it to touchdown plus, how much that percentage could change? Because we have Buffalo going for 8.5 right now, and I think the Ravens are certainly going to hit double digits if they haven't already in a few spots against Pittsburgh on Saturday night.
Yeah, I could probably only lay the favorite there, Kevin. I mean, the percentage is what we're talking about here in this wild card round. How often a team covers a spread versus, just means they're going to win the game. It's a very high percentage, but you're probably going to have one or two of these games where the underdog covers but does not win outright. I'm not sure it's the Broncos or the Steelers. I could see it. I could see it being the Commanders. I kind of like the Commanders to win that one outright. The Texans I could possibly see staying inside the number of 3 with the Chargers. I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans won that game as well. But those big favorites, Kevin, I think I'm more inclined to lay it than take it, which is not typically my style. But the Steelers, boy, I was giving them a pass because they had lost 3 straight games to 3 of arguably the best teams in football, the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Eagles, right? And they were playing Cincinnati, and I said, I don't think Tomlin wants to go into the postseason on a 4-game losing skid. Well, here he is with a 4-game losing streak. They have really not looked good, and not just against really good teams, but even against the Bengals the other night, who just fired their defensive coordinator. I mean, how many points did they put up? 17? That's not going to work against the Baltimore Ravens. And I think the Bills, they're rested. Hey, the Broncos, fantastic season. Hats off to Sean Payton, Bo Nix. This team covered a lot of numbers all year long. But when we've seen them step up in class is where they've struggled. And obviously that's what they're doing here in Orchard Park over the weekend.
It's going to be really interesting to see. I feel as if already I want to find a workaround. Team total, something of the nature. I saw the Baltimore-Pittsburgh line. Obviously, you take the points. Then it got closer. And I don't know. That's the Steelers' MO these days is get to the playoffs and get absolutely destroyed by a team way better than them. That's what they do, right? Like for all the if you're going to hear, come on, too many points against Mike Tomlin. Yeah, not in recent times.
Well, Kevin, the Steelers, we've seen this for decades. It's basically been the Steeler way forever. They want to play a slow, sloppy game that's driven by defense and a rushing attack and forcing turnovers. And they want this thing to be 23-20 or 19-17, like it was the other night with the Bengals or what have you, 23, whatever that final was, 19-17, I guess. But that's the type of game that the Steelers want to play and always have wanted to play. But you can't do that with the 2024 version of the Baltimore Ravens. This team is an offensive juggernaut, and they can put 40 on you in a heartbeat. Yeah. And, so like I say, I'd probably have to lay it here. Now, the Broncos, that defense is pretty darn legit, and they certainly have Patrick Surtain, maybe the defensive player of the year. They have a good pass rush. They have good linebackers. So they're going to cause some problems. But I still see Buffalo in the end winning this one by 7-8 points. Yeah. I think the number's really good, I believe, in that game. It feels to me like Buffalo wins by a touchdown or close to that. The Ravens could smash the Steelers.
Yeah, they certainly could. Brady, before we get you out of here, golf season, it's going on
off to a good
for
start.
some, and I know this weekend was good for you.
Yeah, Hideki Matsuyama gets us started in 2025 with a winner at 22-1 in Kapalua at the Sentry. And we follow that up with a win in December at the Hero World Challenge. We hit Scotty to win that one at the very short price of plus 225. The odds maker at the Superbook said he should have been minus 225, and maybe that's true. But yeah, technically a winner to close out 2024 and a winner to begin 2025. So on to the Sony Open in Oahu. Not quite the star power that was in the field last week. Hideki is back. Morikawa is not there. And it's a totally different type of golfer that should win this tournament versus who won last week. Very different golf course, YLA Country Club versus the Plantation course in Kapalua.
And star-wise, Brady, what's the next tournament we're really going to – is it the Phoenix Open Super Bowl weekend?
Maybe the AT&T Pebble Beach, actually. That's a signature event. It'll be the week before the Super Bowl.
Perfect.
AT&T at Pebble, Wyndham Clark, your defending champ.
There we go. Brady Cannon, appreciate it. As always, we're going to take a quick break, though, right here. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid. We've got Dave Sharapan coming up right around the corner.
They let the guy run the practice and leave the building, have a press conference, and then you fire him on a cell phone call while he's in the car. Shame on you, Sacramento. You haven't been good since Chris Webber, White Chocolate, Lottie Divac, Corliss Big Nasty Williamson, and obviously Rick Alleman as a coach. No one wonder why you've been a joke for the last quarter century.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions. We're live with you right here on a Monday. And listen, man, it happens sometimes. First quarter over, Sixers Suns. I'm not sure if they add in the second quarter points we get there. This thing is slow starting, and things in Phoenix are not good. Arguably worse than they even are in Miami. In Miami, it's like Jimmy's going to go, and then they'll figure it out, right? With Phoenix, Beal probably can't be there anymore. Nurkic is actually important to the team, whether people realize it or not. He's not good enough. Durant eventually will be gone because, come on, that's what Kevin Durant does. What if Devin Booker says, I don't want to do this anymore? It could all change the odds. It could, which I know for a good friend of ours is like, come on, don't make me look at the NBA odds. I'm busy right now. He keeps his ear to the ground on all things, though. It's the one and only Dave Sharapan can sig. It's good to see you with us right here on a Monday night.
Hello, Kevin. Great to see you. Happy New Year. It's the last day you can say that. I haven't seen you since the New Year. Congratulations are in order for you personally. Very happy for you. There's a big New Year coming up. Yeah, 2025. Very excited for you. Wore a Penn State hat today. Penn State stuff, just in case you wanted to talk about the college football playoff games.
Strong
in
move.
addition to the NFL playoff games. Heard you talking to Brady a little bit earlier. I think the answer to your question is either Houston or Pittsburgh is the lowest rated teams going into the playoff. I don't know. I mean, the Rams may be down there a little bit, being home dogs as well, but I think the Rams are way more alive to win a game than either the Steelers. I mean, the Texans could win. The Steelers aren't winning. The Steelers aren't winning at all. No chance.
Yeah, let me ask you about that, Dave, because you know the Steelers organization well, and I think the conversation around Mike Tomlin is a really interesting one. Year 2, he wins a Super Bowl. He went back to a Super Bowl in year 4. Mike Tomlin has not won a playoff game, though, in 8 seasons, assuming Baltimore gets the job done on Saturday. And I've heard, I'm sure you have as well, people draw Kyle Shanahan, Andy Reid comparisons. Kyle has been in San Francisco for way less time than people realize Andy Reid was in Philadelphia. Mike Tomlin would be a far more reasonable comparison, I think, Philly moved on from Andy Reid, not because he was a bad coach, but it was time to move on.
Yep.
I don't feel super comfortable saying that the Steelers should move on from Mike Tomlin because I think we're all aware it's been a long time since they've had the appropriate quarterback play to have real expectations.
Sure.
However, if Mike Tomlin is in charge and Mike Tomlin thinks it's a good idea to bring back Russell Wilson, well, we got to make a change because that's not a good idea, Dave. And it's going to be this copy-paste. Books up, not good. Win total's a tick too low. Knock it right over. Make playoff price tick too juicy. Bang it out. Postseason comes around on a tee. Knock their heads off. See you into the offseason. It's copy-paste now for 4 years, Dave.
Was that a golf swing or a baseball swing?
Baseball.
Either way, I like that. I like that move right there.
Jack, it was a little restrictive.
Little tight. Stretch
Yeah.
it out. Listen, it is what it is. They've had 3 coaches in 54 years. I'm 54 years old, and they've had 3 coaches. That's it. So I don't think the Steelers organization just makes a move to make a move. They have to have – it's like being in the book. You have to know what you're going to move the line to before you do it because you have to know what the next move is after that. I don't think the Steelers know. I don't think they have any idea of how this ends. There's no easy way to get out of this relationship. Now, the worst thing that can happen is the Steelers go and beat the Ravens, and somehow, Lamar has his worst playoff game maybe ever. The Steelers score 17 points and win 17-16 on another Boswell field goal late or something. And then they go to Kansas City and get destroyed. I mean, you saw what you needed to see on Christmas. The Steelers are light years apart from Kansas City, a healthy, rested Kansas City with Andy Reid. So, yeah, man, it gets to this point where, where you're in the book and you just know, and I've had to do it for years where they're like, Dave, what do you make the line? I mean, I sent out 10. When the guys asked me for my number over the weekend, I was like, it's 10. Just use 10 because they're going to tease Baltimore in every teaser that you could possibly have. They're taking Baltimore down. So just start it at 10. See if you can get the bots or the bad guys or somebody to bet the Steelers plus 10 because who's going to do it as we approach Saturday night? Nobody. And as far as what they're going to do when they move on, I don't know. Okay, Dub, it's getting to the point, though, where you're like, the message is the same. I mean, Tom's a hell of a football coach, but whatever it isn't working. And as far as getting to that next level, and then, I mean, I think Russ is done. Like, I don't think he's coming back. I think they got to make a move, whether it's sign a free agent. I mean, people have already texted me, like, what do you think of Sam Darnold? Darnold in Pittsburgh? The Vikings just let him walk? I mean, I don't know. Is that possible? Why?
Come on. You guys stop signing up. All right, cool. Tell you what, Darnold in Pittsburgh, 10-7, print it, round 1 eliminated. Come on. Why don't you trade some picks and go draft Cam Ward? You'll be running around like this.
That's not their style. They're not going to do that.
Well, here's the thing about their style. It's not working. You mentioned you've seen 3 coaches. Since the Eagles fired Andy Reid, they've had 3 coaches, and 2 of them have made a Super Bowl, man. You can move things around.
Yeah.
You can.
Well,
you can move things around. Let me ask you this quickly, Dave.
Yep.
Because I want to get to some NBA, some NHL while we have you. We'll get to the college as well. I think the Ravens will be one of the 2 most popular sides of the weekend.
Yes.
I think the Rams might break records for a money line dog. I mean, I don't know if what you're hearing early.
I think the Rams ticket count. I mean, they might show up in purple only for a week in Vegas if I'm right. What do you think?
Well, the Rams are going to close the favorite. It's going to move to pick at some point, I think. And there's a lot of people that will continue to bet the Rams even as a short favorite. Yeah, they're going to be the team. I mean, Minnesota, listen, the stage was set for them to break away from whatever perception it is as the worst 14-3 team ever. I don't know. It's crazy to say, but nobody's looking to back Minnesota, even as a short favorite right now. Maybe we'll get to Monday night. Something will change. What it'll be, I don't know. But no, K-Dub, you're right. Minnesota is going to be the least bet favorite on the card. Washington and Tampa might give you a run for the money. I don't think there's going to be a lot of Tampa money, at least initially.
I think people like Tampa though. I think Tampa is a team that people like Baker, Mike Evans, you know what I mean? Like we're talking about, the guy, right? Like I just imagine a lot. By the time we get to, if people need the dog, they need a dog. Minnesota looked bad in a prime spot. Rams were rested. I just think that's the way it's going to look for people. That's my expectation. Could be wrong. Could be wrong.
I think we can pre-print the favorite tickets: Chargers, Ravens, Bills, Eagles. Just teasers, parlays, money line parlay, whatever you want. Just put those four together, and then we'll get to Sunday night and see what happens.
What is a Ravens Bills money line parlay? -230. See, that's not enough. You think they tack the Chargers in? Interesting. Keep the Eagles out of it. We don't want we don't want a part of that dance. We'll be right back. It's Game Time Decisions.
They let the guy run the practice and leave the building, have a press conference, and then you fire him on a cell phone call while he's in the car. Shame on you, Sacramento. You haven't been good since Chris Webber, White Chocolate, Lottie Divac, Corliss Big Nasty Williamson, and obviously Rick Alleman as a coach. No one wonder why you've been a joke for the last quarter century.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back right here, it is Game Time Decisions. I'm alongside Dave Sharapan. We're taking a look at some of the action on the board tonight. Dave, and I know you always do keep your eye on the ice. They do actually have themselves a marquee matchup with no NFL action on. I'd like to believe that it is not a happy accident that they've booked Avs Panthers on this Monday night. Is that a game you're hearing some actual buzz and juice around?
I mean, as far as the NHL goes, yes, it's only 4 games, and I don't know. I mean, the Capitals and the Sabres are interesting to some people, but yeah, that's the game tonight. So, little bit of buzz. I don't know. Maybe it has juice, Kevin, if you know what I'm talking about, which you know exactly what I'm talking about. Over the total,
Yeah.
and somebody's got to be the favorite. Hard to make Florida a road favorite in that situation, but a lot of people have been saying it's a little bit of a cheap price on Colorado. I like Florida. If got to be forced into a side in this one, but I think over.
Okay. All right, a little bit of juice then. We like that. We like a little bit of juice. NBA-wise, Dave,
yes, sir.
Was there a game that was getting some buzz on this Monday night? Again, a lot of people are looking for something without, of course, the NFL commanding all the attention.
Late Clippers T-Wolves. I think it's a very interesting game because, I mean, the Clippers have a lot of people that, I know one guy, Tommy the Lip, and this other guy, he calls himself Geno Silver, talks in third person. He's tremendous. And he runs around and he's been telling me for weeks that Clippers are going to win that division. The Clippers are a legitimate threat to win the West, and can't believe they're getting points tonight in Minnesota. So take that for what it's worth. We'll keep an eye on that on In Game Live. Me and Dave Martinez are doing the show tonight. So we'll have that one leading up to it. I don't know. Normally the Mavericks and the Grizzlies would have a little bit of buzz, but I mean the Kyrie news is real, right? It's injuries.
Yeah.
That's been one of the things that I think not has taken away from the buzz of big NBA games, especially now that NFL regular season is over. But it's time for teams to start making moves or getting guys in the lineup more than they're not. And that game would have a little more buzz. I love the Grizzlies. I love what they're doing. I'm not sure I love the 4.5, 5 that number is.
One, I will say Memphis is a good team. I think they'll be very interesting come postseason time.
Yes.
2, I will say I'm on Minnesota laying 2. Could care less that Kawhi's back. He was not good. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. This is the bottom of the market on Minnesota. I think they made a lineup change with DiVincenzo getting the start over Mike Conley. And Edwards scored 50 last game in a loss to Detroit. I like Minnesota in that spot. It is what it is. You mentioned something, though, and listen, it's a sticking point for me. I'm not going to stay on it too long. Get the guys in the lineup more. Dave, agree, but Dallas on a 4-game losing streak. Dallas would like to have both Kyrie and Luke in the lineup.
Yeah.
We can talk about why are guys in the NBA today not that healthy. That's a valid conversation. We keep hearing about rest. The Mavericks are not resting a soul. The Mavericks are on a losing streak that saw them drop from 2 to 6. This isn't ideal for Dallas as much as it isn't ideal for fans.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you're hurt, you're hurt. There's nothing you can do. It's the guys that are doing the load management and the resting, I think, that have people disenchanted with the whole thing. And I think it's affected the pregame betting. I mean, there's a lot of guys that would rather just wait until play this stuff in game. I mean, you got the Spurs and the Bulls coming up tonight too, at 5 o'clock Pacific. I love watching Wemby play. I think the Spurs are an interesting team in spots where you normally wouldn't go wait a second, they're laying points on the road? Yeah. But look at that total. Another game with juice. First thought, first blush, I go, all right, if everybody's playing, that one's going over. That one should be over halfway through the fourth quarter. This one in-game might see 255.
Let's hope not. Played it under at 236.5. Let's hope not.
I didn't even know.
No, that's fine. Listen, that's how it goes. Well, listen, you had the Spurs playing that great little back-to-back with Denver. You mentioned Wembanyama, and
certain things are just so fascinating to me. And the price to win Defensive Player of the Year was wild, but you kind of got it.
Yeah.
And, he's now minus 340. I don't really know what happens with that award. I don't know what the pricing of it looks like moving forward. If the start to his career is second place and then first place, what are you supposed to do next year? That's an award you can win again and again and again.
Multiple times, yeah.
So, it's not going to get treated any differently. It's not. You go minus 700 preseason.
I was going to say minus 800. Just put it
Yeah.
up minus 800 and say, listen, if you want to lay it, we'll hold the money this long. But you're not going to come in and get no bargains here. That's it. Yeah, that'll be a do not play. We won't do much handle on that if he wins it, because the starting point will be so high.
Yeah,
it'll be go down a different aisle, shop in MVP market or somewhere else. We don't need any Defensive Player of the Year market money here.
That's the incredible thing to think about is like he's just going to completely make it a dead market for like a decade. I don't even it's incredible what you're going to have happen is, I think, every year you will just get people clicking on, well, what if he gets hurt? And then they'll just hope that they can clip it, right? Here's the thing: you don't need a huge injury. You need you just need something to be nagging, right? With the way they kind of move some of the stuff around, and that can shift it as well.
Listen, K-Dub, they bet against your guy Judge getting hurt in the MVP market in the baseball. He's fine. They'll bet against Ohtani, same situation. He's fine. Good luck. Take the
He ain't
bet.
winning MVP, Ohtani, though. I tell you, that number came out 180. He ain't winning that MVP.
Whoa!
He ain't winning that MVP. That's all right. That's all right. Dave, we'll quickly put a little eye on that college football playoff and send the people on their way. It is Game Time Decisions.
They let the guy run the practice and leave the building, have a press conference, and then you fire him on a cell phone call while he's in the car. Shame on you, Sacramento. You haven't been good since Chris Webber, White Chocolate, Vlade Divac, Corliss Big Nasty Williamson, and obviously Rick Alleman as a coach. No one wonder why you've been a joke for the last quarter century.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, back on Game Time decisions. Don't forget some action coming up. Going to lay the 2 at Minnesota against the Clippers. Going to go 10-plus rebounds for Bam Adebayo tonight against Sacramento. Playing under 236.5 Chicago and San Antonio. Tomorrow, great college board. Tonight, I'll take TCU plus 18.5. We have Dave Sharapan, who will be on In-Game Live tonight. And, Dave, I want to ask you about this with the college football playoff. Notre Dame lays 1.5. Ohio State lays 5.5. Were you surprised by either number, and if yes, which?
No, neither one. My send-out was 4.5/5 on Ohio State. When it came a little bit lower, I was surprised, but they laid it all the way up to 6, and then, that's the resistance mark. The Penn State-Notre Dame game, I don't know. When you watch Notre Dame beat Georgia, you have to make them the favorite. And it's on a grass field, good defenses. I thought the total was a little high, and it's being adjusted down. I can't wait to watch it. My years of the back and forth with the Notre Dame stuff go back to when I was in the stadium, when Jerome Bettis and Ricky Waters came in and beat them and were waving to us in the student section. And then one of the best nights I ever had on campus was when Penn State beat Notre Dame on the road. They broke into the stadium, tore down the goalposts, and delivered them to Paterno's house. I mean, it was unbelievable. So it's years and years and years of rivalry that's been deprived from both programs. I would love for this to be a stepping stone to rekindling it. The numbers are right. The numbers are right. I mean, by the time we get to this point, I don't think there's any surprises. Even the total in the Ohio State game, which seems like it's a little bit high, it has to be over 50. I don't know how much more over 50 it can be, but I don't know, K-Dub. I hope the games live up to the billing. Have you found anyone that likes Texas?
Oh, yeah.
I have. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I just got to look in the mirror.
Hey!
Here's what happened, I think. Probably. I don't care. Yes, but, I like to take my points and move on.
Okay.
I knew Ohio State was going to end up a field goal. I was like, man, if I get over a field goal, I'm probably going to have to bet Texas. We saw 6. I went, get on that horse. Let me see a 7. That didn't happen. Okay, fine.
No.
But that, I think, melted my brain a little bit. Plus, I think I saw the Georgia-Notre Dame game from a different lens. I legitimately thought Penn State was going to be the favorite in that game. 2.5. Let's see if it keeps pushing. So I am a little surprised that Notre Dame is where they are. Not about disagreeing. I am surprised at how complimentary people have been about the Notre Dame performance. I thought their defense in the second half was absolutely wonderful. Their offense was not good enough in that game, but they made plays.
Yeah, you got to. I don't know what lens you're looking through, but I'm put on the listening glasses because I wanted to hear you say it. I figured the whole Walsh household, you're all rooting for the Irish, right?
Well,
you guys.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have our rooting interests, but Dave, I mean, most unbiased man in the history of sports media, I'm going to tell you, come on, you got to tell you what I see, right?
Mm-hmm. What do you see?
We wouldn't have it any other way, right?
You see this? Is that what you see?
I see it. I see it.
Can we have a Big Ten party in Atlanta? Can you imagine?
You got to be honest. Be honest.
Ohio State, Penn State in Atlanta?
Be honest. It's the worst possible game. Nobody wants it. Be honest.
What?
Nobody wants Ohio State, Penn State. Nobody wants it.
Everybody that bleeds blue and white wants another crack at that team.
Now, come on. Yeah. No, you don't.
Oh, yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You want to get your head beat in again.
Come on in.
No.
No.
Come on.
You want another shot. Come on. Huh?
No.
You want to see Ohio State play
that
Notre
hat,
Dame?
the blue, it's seeping into his brain. I don't know. We got to get a new one. Come on. You don't want to play that team. That's all right. You could play him in the third place game. Dave Sharapan, appreciate you coming by. Always a good time right here on Game Time Decisions. Again,
Make sure you're in a mix with that TCU 18.5. Has that thing moved at all? Hold on. Let's check. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Move. Where's this thing? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Nope, 18.5 anywhere you look. Whoa. Here we go. Horned Frogs. How do they do it? Some like, I don't know. We'll do it again tomorrow. Right here on Sports Grid.